3 rounds of discussion with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first from a Zoom call in Columbia, South Carolina, Matthew, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. And his opponent from a Zoom call in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel, aka the Executioner. Take it away, Matthew.
Thank you, Jesse, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, people. This is episode number 100 of At Odds with the Unbreakable Spirit.
And the Executioner, Daniel Travis.
I am Matthew Smith, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. One of our plans for this kind of fell through, so we're going with Plan B. Because there's always a Plan B.
Okay.
We are going to listen to the very first episode of our podcast ever.
Episode number 1, basically.
Yes. What do you think I meant by our very first episode?
All right, go.
If you don't want us talking over this, actually listen to the actual episode.
Introducing first from a Zoom call in Columbia, South Carolina, Matthew, aka the Unbreakable Spirit. And his opponent from a Zoom call in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel, aka the
This is no longer over Zoom.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Ooh.
the first episode. Oh, God. This is already cringe. Since this is the first episode, we're going to tell you a little bit about us, and we're also going to cover... God, our first episode was under the 25-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Yesterday, WWE released 18. It's literally a tradition. From the first episode, we've been talking about releases. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, listen to last week's episode. Oh my God. And after we finished recording episode 99, we learned Snakey was released.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cover releases, I think, till we decide to do something, to maybe do a different podcast.
Hey, we could always do a sister podcast with one of our friends about superheroes.
Yeah.
And we have known each other for
a long ass time.
Yes. We haven't specified how long, but since I was in the 8th grade.
Oh, yeah. Since 2009.
God damn. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me feel old.
Actually,
anyway, but we've known it. The short story of this is
yeah, it wasn't my fault you got into wrestling, and we mentioned that in this segment.
Name him because we don't want to. If you don't like it, tough shit.
You can already tell by this. We started to develop the babyface and heel dynamic.
Yeah. Anyway,
I feel like we've done a pretty good job keeping that up.
Yeah, with you interrupting me every chance you get.
I mean, hey,
or don't
it's my job.
I feel like the only episode. Well, you haven't done it a few times, but like starting episode 2, almost on a weekly basis, you cut me off.
Thank you.
But God, like we've we've come a long way from this. Like, I feel like we've developed our podcast voice.
Yes.
On him,
Yes.
and then I just did my own research.
And like for the record, people, this was all the way back in 2021.
I thought it was in 2020.
No, we released our first episode November 10th, 2021. Yeah, and I was also thinking for like to let them know that we're being serious and this isn't a joke. And which means November 10th, which I think is a Thursday this year, or is it a Friday? I think it might actually be a Friday.
Yes.
We'll be coming up on our 2-year anniversary, November 10th.
Which is also the sad day is also that it's the sad day that we lost Kevin Conroy.
Unfortunately.
Back then, AEW was not a thing. But anyway, it was a SmackDown house show back in the old days when SmackDown was.
That was a show taping, not a house show.
All right, right.
Oh yeah, we're talking about
my first wrestling event, which mine was this. Yeah.
We're talking about that SmackDown show taping we attended back when. Is it the Wells Fargo Center now? We're still Phillips Arena.
It's the back then it was Phillips Arena. Now it is the Wells Fargo Arena.
Oh, so I was almost right.
Yes.
Which was WWE Royal Rumble 2010. I just mentioned my first time attending WWE, which was the 2010 Royal Rumble. God, why is this so cringe to me?
I don't know. I honestly, it feels kind of cringe to me too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yellow sweater on the steps behind the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah.
God, I can't believe I mentioned where you can find me on the actual show. And the funny thing is, the first person to enter our Royal Rumble was the first person that we mentioned was released last week.
Who?
Dolph Ziggler. He drew #1 in 2010. And that's not happening. A decade apart is just uncanny.
And not to mention, fun fact, that Edge won the Royal Rumble this year on the exact same day he wanted a.
Shut up, Stall.
Well, it would be over a decade ago,
Yeah.
But you know what it is.
It is kind of funny that it is kind of funny that both in the start of a decade,
break and move on.
Edge returned out of Rumble.
Yeah. News about WWE.
So that year, he won the Rumble.
All right, and now for some. Oh, we just got to the tradition. Thank you, Bad News Bear. That was a terrible impersonation. Right, you did a Bad News Bear impersonation.
I feel like it should have been that the tradition.
I'm afraid I've got some release news.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go on the podcast. I'm going to go on the record and say this. But going forward, I'm doing that.
All right.
I will say I am not really, at this point in WWE, just releasing talent. I hate to say this, I've just grown desensitized to it. I mean, it's always just like
that's fair. Being desensitized to it is fair.
If you're gonna have a future or any sort of pro wrestlers left in your company, you need to stop releasing people.
That's a fair point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's actually right. And this list includes the likes of Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux.
Oh, right. This was
Mia
back
Yim,
the
people
first
like that.
time
And
Karrion
some
got
people who
released.
haven't even had a chance to be on TV. Like
I think
Jesse
this was
Tonney,
back during the
Jen
time of
Ross,
Bearcat
stuff
Keith
like that.
Lee.
But I will say there are two releases that I'm okay with, and I have reasons for this. The first one, Nia Jax. Me personally,
Yeah, guess
I
that's
think
wrong.
she's an unsafe worker. We all remember when
Yeah,
she
she
was
got
on
retired.
Convention
I'm not
Centers.
happy about it.
And a lot of her, and due to her size and stuff like that, she could get involved
Oh
in
god, this was during the Echo.
stuff with the men, basically.
We've thankfully found a solution for the Echo.
You are right on her being an unsafe worker, but I will say I am surprised at her being released only because she is part of the Samoa of the NOI Wrestling Dynasty.
Yeah.
If she was released today, would you still be surprised?
I mean, that is a fair question. Yes, but at the same time,
Yeah. And the other
no.
one is Eva Marie.
Screw Eva Marie. I hope she never returns to WWE.
Surprising.
Yeah, agreed.
And
But on the opposite end of the spectrum, I hear Randy Orton is getting ready for a return.
Yeah.
And it's not really an opinion here. Opinions, people can have them. But
Yeah,
she
opinions are
barely
like
had
butts.
that
Everyone
face
has one.
At all since her first run.
And that's a fact.
The only thing that changed is her hair color.
Yeah.
This is what I will say about Eva Marie in my 100% opinion. Again, I don't care if you disagree with me or not. And this is just a straight up fact. Eva Marie.
We got another one.
WWE
Really?
Yeah. Literally,
from what I have heard,
grandson, Morton, that Brandon guy.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Got released today.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we're recording this the same day as 99 due to a scheduling conflict. So releases will still be pouring in even during this. Should we call this a reaction?
Yeah.
Every time WWE brings her back, every time WWE had her, it feels like they're gonna, push her in a special sort of way, but then they just drop the ball.
Who? Who are we talking about?
Eva Marie, I think. The only good thing she did was that wardrobe malfunction gimmick.
Were kind of, happy when Shayna Baszler, quote unquote, broke Eva Marie's fingers.
Or was?
I mean, there was Shayna Baszler, it probably could be either one, fake or literal.
Fair.
Well, apparently Eva Marie is currently filming a movie, so I don't think her fingers were actually broken.
Dominic Cato got released today.
Dominic Cato?
Doubt it.
Yep.
But I will say that some wrestlers on the list had actually requested their release.
Yeah, this was back when people were unhappy with WWE. And some people probably still are.
Honestly surprised. Number one, Karrion Kross. I feel like WWE massively dropped the ball with him, and
Dana Brooke has been released.
Finally, Jesus Christ, she wasn't very good. Yeah, we just talked about like Karrion Kross, how he was undefeated as NXT champion and lost to Jeff Hardy on Monday Night Raw. That's how old this episode is, people.
You think that he would be a guy that Vince McMahon would want to push. And the second reason is he was not only the first ever double champion in NXT, but He literally just got repackaged.
Yeah, that kind of spelled the fall of him. But
We'd
this
rather
opens up
bask
some
in Keith Lee's
opportunities
glory
for
than get
AEW
scratched
just
by
as
a
of
Bearcat Keith
We're going
Lee.
to take our final break of the podcast and come back. And our final topic is AEW versus
Yes, I
WWE.
remember this
For
topic.
those of you that don't know, AEW is All Elite Wrestling,
Which
a
is
company
only been
that
around for
started up
2
in
years.
it started up in 2019. And WWE, obviously World Wrestling Entertainment, started.
I did a
Probably
bonus
around the
similar
time
to
of the
this
dinosaurs.
comparing attending an AEW versus a
That
WWE
was
show.
that show.
And
Mhm.
also, a later topic on the podcast
My knowledge on
would be
that is
comparing their
Vince's
referees.
father started, and Vince took it over, then it went from that to a dynasty.
Thank you for that history lesson.
Show.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. Whatever.
Anyways, WWE has a many different iterations over the years.
Too many to count.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's fair.
we're
WWE
only
has
gonna
evolved so
covering
much,
the-
it's hard to keep
the
track of.
modern age, as I'm gonna call it. The
And
one
the
with
big,
the clean logo after the ruthless aggression.
Maximum Mayhem models got released.
something that
Mansois
discussing
and
on this
Marseille and
topic
Mansois.
is that
yep.
Is AEW the future of professional wrestling?
That is surprising, sort of. Not really. Their manager left them for Otis and Chad
I
Gable,
literally told
so they really had
Chris
nothing to
Newton
do.
about this last night, but at this rate, 2K22,
Yeah.
which is coming out in March, may not have a roster.
That is
It's funny, we're reacting to the very first time we talked about WWE releases as releases are happening.
Oh my god.
Even going to be available on the roster.
Yeah, but we're sort of getting off topic. Focus up.
Yeah, that hasn't
AEW,
changed.
For how young it is.
Oh,
And I keep
releases are going to
watching
be a
every
staple of the
Wednesday,
podcast.
and
They've
It's-
been in here since day one. Not ish, day one. And they're going to stay.
Well, I guess you might as well just quote the Usos theme song here.
Wrestling games,
It's been down since day one.
SmackDown and Rampage.
Okay.
Ish.
continue.
Not ish, day one. This is the very first
But I think
episode
the
we're
big
reacting to.
difference here
And topic number 2
is not only
was the
their
releases.
TV rating, but also traveling locally versus globally.
And also, I feel like another major difference between those two companies is the fact that their wrestlers have.
I know this seems kind of meta, but hey, we did this for our 1-year anniversary, and that was an unreleased episode. This was the first episode we legitimately released.
Yeah, I will say, just hearing what I sound like on the podcast, I said, just hearing my own voice, I sound so weird.
Yeah.
Before
From
Just
then
listen.
to now, it sounds completely different.
Apparently, AEW
Like,
isn't
back
Yeah.
then, I was still, like, quiet and stuff like that. Now I actually enunciate.
They literally.
Yeah.
last month had a show
Well, okay, I was enunciating here, but I realized while I was editing at some point, for some reason I was really quiet at some point. And now I'm just focusing on enunciating and letting people know what I'm saying.
Another
Yes.
difference is AEW, if you ask me, has done a really good job of not just using the older talent that they've signed from the WWE, but also
Yeah, is it fair to say AEW is a WWE graveyard?
Yeah.
Is that a hot
Yes.
take?
I can definitely
Yeah,
agree with
it's,
that.
it's like
Shockingly, I
uh,
rarely agree with you.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, I'm
like
the
uh, it's
one
like
having to bring the
WWE.
logic
It's like
to
what
stuff.
TNA was in like
Yeah,
2010
Yeah.
What I will say, this is the final
throughout like the
word.
2010.
Yeah, I got
uh,
something we
I
can add to the
think
WWE versus
another
AEW
major
comparison.
difference
Go ahead.
AEW Pyro is a lot quieter than WWE's.
not only are they much more edgy, but
After attending it, like the Pyro, they don't have the loud boom sound effect.
to their fans than I honestly think WWE is.
Yeah, we got about a minute 10 left, so why don't we wrap it up here? Thank you for joining us this week. Please follow us on Spotify. We're a relatively new podcast. We're gonna try to get on other streaming platforms soon.
That didn't happen.
But join us
Yeah, it
next
did.
week
We're on Google Podcast.
But
Yeah.
until then,
We were on Stitcher
as
for a bit, but they
usual,
shut down their
the
listening
Unbreakable
service.
Spirit will still be at odds.
Ugh.
I'm making Spotify before the second episode plays. Oh my god, that was so cringe.
Okay, Matthew. Thoughts on that episode?
Just listening back to it is cringy to me for some reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you my honest take before you say yours. My honest take is listening to how I sound on the podcast feels very sort of weird, and also it's just since we've started doing this for like 100 episodes, Jesus Christ, it's been that. But it's just I also feel like that. Yeah, I agree. We have found our podcast voice, but it is kind of crazy to me that ever since we've literally started doing this, for almost every single fucking episode of our podcast, there has been releases.
Yeah, a lot of releases.
I mean, like, because honestly, like, here's my question: what has been something? And this is a really good question. So here's the question: what is something that we have covered?
Okay, I just found out about another release. Actually,
Go who?
dear God, I'm gonna butcher her name. Yulila Leon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then, okay, here's my question I was going to ask you. But what is your thoughts of some major stuff what is the biggest thing that you left out we have covered in this podcast?
Honestly, probably Vince McMahon's quote unquote retirement, which lasted all of a few weeks, months.
Weeks, months, I don't know. It was really fucking short.
Yeah. Like it was either that or no, you know what it was? And it wasn't an actual episode of the podcast, it was a bonus. The passing of Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
If we want an example from the actual podcast, it was probably Vince McMahon's retirement.
For me, the biggest thing that I felt we have covered on this entire podcast was I agree that Vince retiring is one of them, but for me, I feel like the biggest thing was the retirement of The Undertaker.
Yeah. Undertaker's retirement was big. And he announced it on that special they had of him, The Last Ride or whatever.
Yeah, all right.
Like, honestly, we should have seen his retirement coming with the title of the documentary.
Yeah, that's fair. But, all right, thank you, everyone, for listening to our 100 episodes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have no idea how many more we'll be doing of this shit.
And I believe in 6 weeks, we're going to hit 2 years.
Yeah, great. Roll that.
Yeah. This was something that was not in the first episode, but we can say it now. Roll that motherfucking outro.
Peace out.
Bye. Thank you for listening to At Odds, hosted by the Unbreakable Spirit,
And the executioner.
edited by the Unbreakable Spirit. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MTS_life_0126.
You can follow me on Instagram at DanTravis21, and you can also follow me on the Twitter at DanTheExecutioner21.
And you can follow the podcast at Odds Podcast. We'll be back next week with more debates and discussions. But until then, the Executioner and the Unbreakable Spirit will still be at odds.
Thank you, losers.